Which candidates in 2016 are best positioned to take on our country's illegal immigration challenges? Rich Lowry, editor at National Review and a Fox News contributor, Charles Hurt, political columnist at the Washington Times, and Leslie Marshall, progressive radio talk show host and also a Fox News contributor. Charles, I'll start with you first. You look at all the politicians right now. They've all got a plan as to how to handle immigration. Who's championing that message? Let's start on the right.
Well, you know, you have Jeb Bush talking about his acts of love. You've got Marco Rubio playing footsie with Democrats and Chuck Schumer with the Gang of Eight. You've got Chris Christie, who's probably the worst of all of the Republicans running. You know, he signed the State Dreamer Act in his own state. He signed in-state tuition for illegals in New Jersey. And most egregious of all, while he was governor, he oversaw 4 different cities that became sanctuary cities and didn't lift a finger to stop them. He's obviously upset about that now, but didn't do something back when he could have. And people wonder how this lane has been opened wide open for somebody like Donald Trump. This is why Donald Trump has when he made his announcement speech, he made immigration a cornerstone of it. He has laid out his.
And some say arguably it would not have been such a big conversation had Donald Trump not hit on it on his announcement to run for president. Let's see, Rich, you say that Trump is serious about enforcing the laws. People believe what he says. They believe that his plan could work, and that's why he's getting so much support. But you say you don't trust anybody.
I don't trust anyone on immigration. And look, the problem with Trump, Charlie is right. People think he's actually serious about enforcement, and the political class is not. And that's just resonated hugely with Republican primary voters. The problem is the federal government can't even put together a healthcare website. It's not going to efficiently round up 11 million people, ship them back to their countries of origin, and then bring a bunch of them back, which Donald Trump talks about. So if he's elected president, he will not implement that plan.
All right, Leslie, but nobody's mentioned Hillary Clinton.
He has moved the entire field to the right, which is a good thing.
You think Hillary Clinton could do the best job here?
Yes. How did you know that? Yes, absolutely. First of all, she has spoken against Donald Trump, and she's spoken against Donald Trump not just in the sense of, emotional and social issues like inhumanity and breaking up families, but also the ridiculousness, as Rich actually alludes to, with his ideas, which I think are for, poll numbers and ratings and shock value. Mexico's not going to pay for a wall. We don't have the money for a wall. We would have to have the border being patrolled in addition to that wall, and certainly we don't have the money to deport over 11 million people. That isn't going to happen. In addition to the fact, Hillary has the overwhelming majority support of the Latino vote, not just among Democrats, among those who don't consider themselves Democrats as well. So she's going to be able to work with a lot more organizations that consider this to be a number one issue for them as voters.
When pressed to give your answer to who could handle it the best on the right, you say Kasich.
Yes, and let me tell you why. First of all, I didn't like his ideas. This is why
Leslie is not a Republican primary voter, right here.
Well, look.
Explain yourself, Leslie.
I'm being honest. I'm being honest. Okay, I know he probably is not going to be the nominee, and I'm not a Republican, and I don't agree with building the fence. But I think he is the most moderate and the one that could actually work with people on both sides of the aisle to get something like this done. He's turned away from his idea to strip individuals of birthright citizenship, which I think is a good thing. He doesn't talk about a wall, but rather a fence. But he does talk about securing the border, which, by the way, both sides want. They just disagree on how to have that done. And he does say it's ridiculous and addresses the cost of deporting 11 million people and talks about a pathway to citizenship for those that have been here and have not committed a crime.
Rich,
it's not true that both sides are equally invested in enforcement. The Obama administration has gutted interior enforcement in this country. He lawlessly, unilaterally imposed an executive amnesty that now has been stayed by the courts, and Hillary Clinton is promising to be even more lawless than President Obama and to impose even more of an amnesty on this country. So there is a big divide between the two parties, and it begins with enforcement.
Charles, I want to get you in here on the last word, because this is, at the same time, it's a policy discussion. It's an emotional discussion when you're talking about these families being sent back. I mean, we're talking about who's winning on each side. I mean, can these plans that these candidates are putting forward, can anybody's actually be executed? And that's really the question.
Well, if you look at the proposal that was put out there by Donald Trump, it's a very simple plan. It's basically enforce the rules, enforce the laws that have been duly passed by Congress in this country, duly signed by presidents. They're part of they are the law, and that's what he's talking about doing, is enforcing the law, and that's what Americans want before we do anything else.
All right. Well, thank you to all of you for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Sandra.
Happy New Year.
Thanks
Up
so much.
ahead,
Happy New Year.
to you.